Some of you may be wondering, how does Johnny Walker Dredd feel about the verdict in the Daniel Perry Garrett Foster or Foster Garrett trial? Well, guess what? My answer might surprise you a little. Hello out there. I am trying to get through. So let's recap. The dude on the right is a genuine grade A douchebag, or he was. The man on the left put him into the past tense. So Garrett Foster is walking around Austin during a BLM protest and carrying an AK-47. I don't have any problem with that. But it seems strange that so many people who wanted Kyle convicted because he was carrying an AR-15 at a protest defend Garrett Foster. Does that sound like hypocrisy? Of course. The real problem with Kyle Rittenhouse was that he was a conservative. He was there, as they saw it, against the protesters. And with Garrett Foster, well, he was there with the protesters. So it's all different. All of a sudden, the gun doesn't matter anymore. And in truth, it shouldn't have mattered in either case. Garrett Foster is free to carry an AK-47 around at the protest if he wanted to. It doesn't mean he's out there to try to hurt somebody, although he did sort of threaten any right-wingers that dared mess with him, which Kyle did not do, by the way.
I mean, if I use it against the cops, I'm dead. And I think all the people that hate us and, want to say to us are too big of to stop and actually do anything about it. So.
Of course, that's another point of hypocrisy, is if Kyle would have said something like that, the left would have been all over it. They would have jumped on that. They would have played it over and over and over again. Garrett Foster, however, coming from the left, well, that's different. So Garrett Foster is walking around. Daniel Perry drives through a bunch of protesters. Now, I don't know how hard he drove through them, whether he was just creeping through them or what. Whatever the case, the protesters got really mad, and Garrett made a tragic mistake, and he walked up to the car carrying his AK-47. Does that mean that Daniel Perry can shoot him? Not necessarily. It all depends. And again, I've said it many times, and I think most of my followers understand this. It's not about whether Daniel Perry faced a real threat or not. It matters as to whether he believed he was facing a real threat and if that belief was reasonable. Was Garrett Foster lifting up the rifle to shoot him? I don't know. I didn't follow the trial that closely. I apologize. Maybe the video shows a little bit more about what happened. Daniel Perry evidently believed that he was about ready to get shot, and so he opened fire. But was that belief reasonable or not? The jury, all 12 of them, said no. And so they convicted him. So that brings up another point. People on the Kyle Rittenhouse side are saying that this was a clear case of self-defense. No, it wasn't. If it was clearly self-defense, not all 12 jurors would have convicted Daniel Perry. That doesn't mean that Daniel Perry was guilty, but it certainly wasn't clear self-defense. There is some question about whether his self-defense claim was valid or not. So, did the jury get it right? I don't know. I'll have to do some more investigation, and it may be that I will not ever know. But the jury saw enough to convince them that Daniel Perry had no good reason to believe that his life was in danger. Do we respect the jury's decision? Well, I guess everybody differs on that. The left clearly doesn't believe that a jury's decision should be given a lot of weight because they still call Kyle Rittenhouse a murderer. The Texas governor is asking the Board of Paroles and Probation, or whatever it's called, to recommend that Daniel Perry be pardoned. I don't know if the timing of that is very good or not. It might be a little bit too soon. I think it might have been better to hold off on that for at least a little while. But then again, what do I know? Tell me what you think. Was Daniel Perry wrongfully convicted? Did Garrett Foster have it coming to him? And how do you jive your comment with the Kyle Rittenhouse case? Like my video, subscribe to my channel.